Clashes break out during teachers' protest in Mexico City. Vertical line All Jazeera America. Global header background image URL/content/jam/jcr:/content/header/image desktop.adapt.960.high.1,372,410,885.jpg at media minimum width 768 px and max width 959 px. Global header background image URL/content/jam/editable.adapt.960.high.1,372,410,885.jpg at media max width 767 px. Global header background image URL/content/jam/mobile.adapt.753.medium.1,372,410,885.jpg. Display mobile navigation. Display mobile search bar. News, video, shows, schedule, more shows, sections. U.S. International economy, technology, science, environment, health, education, culture, sports. Trending. Serious war, weather, health, technology. Search form. Clashes break out during teachers' protest in Mexico City. September 1, 2013, 9:33 p.m. at. Police fire tear gas into crowd during demonstration over proposed educational reforms. Topics: Education, Mexico, oil, viewed comments. Mexico City protests educational, energy reforms. Protesters hold a sign reading "Mexico has no president." Protesting teachers say reforms take power away from unions. Henry Romero Reuters. Shopkeepers close their shops as protests erupt in the capital. Henry Romero Reuters. Riot police fired tear gas and used their shields to advance on demonstrators. Reuters. Violent clashes broke out between some of the protesters and security forces. Henry Romero Reuters. Students and teachers rallied against educational reforms, while other unaffiliated protesters rallied against Peña Nieto's energy sector reforms. Reuters. Student protest group number Sinesody 132 said 6 of their comrades were detained. Henry Romero Reuters. After police fired tear gas, protesters responded by hurling Molotov cocktails. Reuters. Several injuries among security forces were reported. Henry Romero Reuters. Leftist protesters are against the president's plan to open the country's vast oil and gas reserves to private, foreign investment. Reuters. Protesters gained the upper hand in some areas. Stringer Reuters. President Peña Nieto has an approval rating of 50%. Much lower than most presidents, where the average for first-time leaders is 70 to 80% approval. Reuters. Clashes broke out between demonstrators and riot police in Mexico City Sunday as protests in opposition to proposed reforms by President Enrique Peña Nieto turned violent. An estimated 10,000 teachers have been camped out in the capital's Zocalo Square for 2 weeks as part of action against the president's plan for an overhaul to the educational system. Protesters scuffled with police near the Congress building, where Mexican Interior Minister Miguel Angel Osorio Chong was presenting the written State of the Union report to Congress. Peña Nieto decided to deliver his speech on Monday instead of Sunday to avoid raising tensions at the planned protests. Riot police could be seen firing tear gas and advancing on protesters, who responded by throwing rocks and Molotov cocktails. Congress has already passed changes to the Constitution to overhaul the education system, and they are now due to vote on implementing the new rules requiring teachers to undergo mandatory standardized performance tests to get jobs or promotions and end the union's power over hiring. As well as teachers and students opposed to Peña Nieto's educational reforms, protesters also took to the streets Sunday to show their discontent over the president's controversial energy reforms. Peña Nieto wants to reform Pemex, the state-owned oil company, to allow private companies to explore and potentially exploit Mexico's vast oil and gas reserves. To do this, the president wants to change the Constitution to give private companies incentives to invest alongside flailing state oil monopoly Pemex. Groups of protesters could be heard chanting, "Peña Nieto is going to fall, going to fall, going to fall," as they marched to show their